It's been about a month since I last showed you the garden. Last one was end of July. We're now in end of August. We're right in the middle of a massive drought and a hosepipe ban, but things are looking okay because it rained just a couple of days ago. First, we're still on the patio where we started last time. Here are the tomatoes that you saw. These are the determinate tomatoes. They are now fully in flower and starting to bind some fruit, but nothing to speak of yet. I think we'll have more tomatoes by the time winter comes. Here, evidence of rain. And also, while I planted most things out, look what happened to my poor kale. Now, luckily, this isn't the only kale I have, but butterflies have been. My dill is looking great. I'm happy about that. And some follow-up coriander. Coriander grows really poorly if it's hot, and it's been very, very warm here. And then some spring onions, various peppers, and that's carrots. Just for ornate planting. Let's fix the light. This one has now gone completely green, this Acer pomatum. That cardboard is for compost, if you're wondering what on earth. It's just chilling here for now until I have enough fresh matter to add to the compost bin. I think these might have not been here last time you were here. These are more blueberries. I've purchased a couple of extra blueberry bushes, and that's one of them. Nothing super interesting here other than this beautiful cat and this apple blossom geranium. I ended up purchasing 4 plugs from J Parks, I believe, a few months ago, and I have to say they do in fact smell like apple. It's very, very pleasant. For a geranium, which typically, such as this one, doesn't smell particularly pleasant or exciting, it's a nice change. Let's carry on walking. Foxes, still a problem. So the herb box, not a lot of change there. The oregano is still blooming and I'm just going to let it be. I've pulled out some plants from this particular area, and actually the regeneration project here is going quite well. Things are starting to grow without much help from me other than a bit of water. So really pleased with that. Now moving on to the main beds. This courgette bed, or courgette and squash bed, is still going. I am really pleased with that. I've had some issues with mildew. I got rid of them. If you look at my reels, you might be able to, a post, you might be able to see a specific post about how to deal with mildew. And I've planted out chicory, which is not doing amazingly well yet. Some of it is doing fine, some of it is doing less so. There's more underneath there, barely visible. And then on this Waltham butternut, I had one fruit and it dropped off. It's quite miserable actually, but I'm just going to move on because unlike that Waltham, these courgettes have been producing beautifully. This one is Golden Athena and this one is Costa Romanesca. Moving on to this bed, the second one, and I'm sorry about the super bright sun. It's just how it is right now. The strawberries, I've now finished harvesting them, and I've also harvested their little runoffs. So we have more plants, and I'll show you where those went. The beautiful, beautiful padron peppers are doing well. They have been fruiting pretty much through the summer, and they're still going quite nicely. You can see some small fruits over on them. I've been harvesting quite heavily and enjoying them greatly. I've taken out most of the kales. I've left a couple and planted the new ones in, as long as some winter broccoli, etc. Now, this is the cool thing. I have some determinate tomatoes in here, and they have been fruiting for the last month and a half, and now they're shooting up new flowers. They're not getting taller, they're just getting bushier and more flowery, which is absolutely exciting. So it looks like I will carry on having tomatoes until frost comes, so that's great. Some more of those padron peppers. I have some gaps in here at the moment, and that's because I've planted a couple of things. And as you can see, the pest pressure has been intense. These are mainly caterpillars, and I'm not too worried for them. But also in the background, the Swiss chard just here and here. Sorry if I'm pointing with my finger, it's just easier. But that Swiss chard is finally taking off. I've taken out most of the Swiss chard that was over here, and this sorrel is unfortunately struggling, but that's life. For a change, this patch of carrots is finally starting to pick up. What's the matter? Let's get that. Because we had one day of really quite heavy rain, or one night, Some of my tomatoes have been splitting a little bit, but it hasn't been too bad at all. Now, this bed is again doing well. I will say those marigolds have been going for months now and I love it. They're just there behind the pepper. These purple peppers have not been the most prolific. It's only now that they're starting to shoot a flower, which is nice. I've used up almost all of my spring onion. This one is a Welsh onion actually, so it'll stay there for a bit longer. The beans are finally picking up. And I don't know if you also had this problem, but when it's too hot, beans will flower and then drop the flower rather than fruiting. And it's only now that it's gone down below 30 Celsius on the regular that I'm getting some serious beans. And I've been harvesting them as I go, and they've been nice and prolific now that the weather has turned slightly. And same story here with the tomatoes, they are blooming. And then on this side, it's more of the same. I do have also some broad beans. These I purchased really well late in the season. They are the Monica broad beans, and I cannot wait to see how they turn out. Nothing other particularly exciting here. Oh, those tomatoes, I've mentioned it on Instagram a few times, but they are the, oh goodness, escaped me, Maskotka, name spelled with a K. So my second squash bed and magnolia in the middle of it, that one has been interesting. So these unfortunately have been producing fruit and then dropping it. I'm not sure why. They sort of burn off. I think it is because of the temperature. These are more of an autumn squash. If you look carefully over here, can I show this to you? Let's see. There are, oh, there we are. Here it is. You can see that the fruits have just been burning off. Maybe because the plants are small, maybe for any other reason, I'm not sure, but I've had that problem with these particular ones. These have been planted quite late. The ones that have been planted much earlier, and by the way, these two huge courgette plants, these are Costa Romanescos, have been completely decimated by the builders, and they came back and they have been giving me fruit consistently for the last few weeks, which is quite nice. And as far as the raised beds, this is it. So let's move on to here. The morning glory has actually been flowering. This is the most exciting thing ever. And if you're thinking morning glory is a weed, yes, I know, but it's a weed I absolutely love. So for me, it's a flower. And I had trouble growing it here for many reasons, as I mentioned also in a previous video. So this is honestly a success for me. And then I've got a new tree. It's a golden Gaia Rincloda style plum. My replanted choice is still not looking amazing, but hopefully it'll get better. And then my hedge of rhubarb is looking okay for the most part. Now, if we go over here, this is the plot of soil that still needs work. Actually, you know what? Before I tell you about that, let me tell you about those. My lemon tree has gotten really bushy. The actual fruit that's on it hasn't really progressed very much. You can just about see it there. It's gotten a little bit bigger, but not hugely, so I have no idea if I'll have edible fruit this year. And then this fig was a gift from a friend, and it has a fruit. I mean, look at it. Look how puny it is, and it has a fruit. Absolutely amazing. This is what you get if you, I suppose, root plants that are pieces of a mature plant. So that's really nice. Anyway, moving over here. So as I said, this is the patch that needed work. I'm still to get the spent grain from the brewery, which helps clear oil spills in essence. I'm pretty sure somebody was pouring engine oil here, just so annoying. This used to be open space. So still some work there, but it doesn't really stop the pots from growing. There's cardboard underneath them, if you're wondering, to stop any potential issues. But these are my strawberry cuts, and they're looking absolutely messy because neighbor's cat got into them and basically messed them up, which is great, right? And then these are the Black Beauty, I won't say Black Beauty, cherry tomatoes. And if you look in, you can see some mature ones, and they've been doing, in fact, really, really well. There's more there. Pretty much right through the summer. I've moved them over here to give them a bit more shade because they were burning, and they're looking great. And then over here we have rosemary, which is always a beauty, and then more rhubarb. I've actually managed to harvest some of that rhubarb and eat it in a crumble, and it was great. My generous gardener has not been that generous. No change from last time. It's been fertilized, it's been watered well, but it's just not interested in blooming anymore, I think. The palm tree is great. The cosmos, I think I'll still get more flowers, but they're having break for the moment. And then the octopus cucumbers, for the most part they're done now. They weren't super prolific because of the heat, but they've given me a couple of jars of pickles, and I think they have some more fruit on the way, so hopefully they'll carry on until a bit later in the year. The snapdragons had a fantastic second flush right through the month, so I'm going to leave those for seed now. I love saving my own seed. I think it's a wonderful thing, so that's what will happen with those snapdragons. And I will say the ones that are advertised as apple blossom do in fact smell very nice, like apple tree. Not apples themselves, but an apple tree. Absolutely beautiful. Love them, and they are super prolific. And then my tomatillo, looking absolutely miserable. Still absolutely no fruit on that. The pollinators just are not interested when they have other more exciting blooms around. And then where I had peas over here and over here, complete death. I had some peas there and then they died because of the heat, so that was that. And that is as far as the garden is looking now. One thing I haven't shown you is the tomatillo plants. They used to be in here and now they are gone. I've taken all the fruit yesterday and I made it into a salsa verde. And this is my garden at the end of August.